Hello YouTube, Proxy here, and today I'm bringing you an up-to-date version of what we know so far on Dark and Light. A lot of the current videos on YouTube are basically outdated by this stage. The content of the game has changed substantially over the last 3 to 4 months. So today I'm going to give you a brand new overview of what confirmed features will be in game, as well as what things we are also likely to see in game though are not confirmed. So let's cover the basic information first. Dark and Light is a fantasy sandbox survival RPG and will be buy to play. The game is being developed by Snail on the Unreal 4 engine. Dark and Light will be released on Steam and Early Access and will begin at some point during 2017, with the full game being ready for an official launch around 1 year later. The minimum system requirements to play the game will be a 64-bit Windows 7 Service Pack 1 or Windows 8 operating system, a 2GHz dual-core 64-bit CPU, at least 4GB of RAM, a DirectX 10 compatible GPU with 1GB of video RAM, which is basically a GTX 570 or its AMD equivalent, DirectX version 10, and at least 40GB of free space on your hard drive. However, the recommended system requirements are still yet to be confirmed. The game will have both PvE and PvP servers. The world size is now much smaller than it originally was, though no official numbers have yet been given. We will hopefully have more information on this soon. Once we are in game, there will be no loading screens. The survival elements of the game will be in the form of hunger, fatigue, illness, and attacks from other players and wild animals. Some of these elements will be toned down from what you would expect from a traditional survival game. There will be 3 playable races, humans, dwarves, and elves, as well as 3 factions. Currently, race is not locked to a faction. You can start the game in one of these cities as well as live in and own housing in them, or you can start out in the wild and build your own habitat. When you start in the city of your choice, you will begin in the slums. You can then rent places to live within the city. However, even in the main city, you are not safe from thieves. Guards will be present in the main cities, and if you have been caught stealing, they will hunt you down. You can become a lord of the faction, which will have housing benefits and allow you to control mythical beasts. These can be summoned to be used in battle. Main cities are faction-based and not separated by race. Player-made towns won't have any systems, it will be a group of players building houses in the same area. The game will have action-style combat, no tab targeting, think more of a third-person shooter but with magic, medieval weaponry and manual dodging. The game will have multiple biomes: volcanic, snow, tundra, swamps, plains, forests, jungles, urban and underwater, and possibly more to come in the future. In total, there will be around 50 creatures in-game at launch. There are multiple types of skills and weapons in-game. The game will be focused on magic as its core element. While the game can be played solo, playing with friends is advised. Guilds in-game will be known as houses, possibly Game of Thrones inspired. These houses will be able to form alliances, allowing multiple small houses to have the same benefit as a large house. You can form parties regardless of faction alignment. PvP can happen almost anywhere, although there are some small safe spaces within the city. However, rule sets for PvP could be added in the future. And Dark and Light will support VR technology. Most of the things I just listed, the community of Dark and Light already knows and are the basic details of the game. But now I'm going to talk about additional in-game details that Horsejoke of Snail has confirmed for us. This is a confirmed feature list of the current games build from Snail, and I would like to thank Horsejoke for providing me with this list so I can provide you guys with a clear and more digestible video of information. Hopefully this will help prevent some of the misinformation circling around the community regarding certain features. All of this information I'm about to tell you is from the latest game build of Dark and Light as of the 4th of January 2017. However, as with any game that's still in development, all these features are subject to change and all this information is based on the current build of the game. So, starting off with the general features of the game. Third-person action-style combat. An option for first-person is currently under consideration, but animations aren't currently geared properly towards first-person view. Moderately sized official servers for the genre. Relatively higher server caps than other games in the open-world survival genre, but not massive. Both PvP and PvE servers available at launch, but no PvP combat on PvE servers. Player-run servers, public, private and LAN are all going to be supported at early access launch, as well as a single-player option. Characters will be bound to the server they are created on. Moving on to gameplay features. Max character level in our current build is 60, but may increase as high as 100 for early access launch. Each time you level up, you will earn a single attribute point to allocate to one of your character's attributes, like max health, max energy, carrying capacity and physical damage output, etc. In our current build, player characters and creatures persist in the world at all times. There are safe spaces within cities for players who don't have a safe home outside of the city. No selectable races in our current build or planned for early access launch, but we'll have every customization feature that was available for each race available when creating a character. Presets will be available for humans, elves, dwarves, and you'll be able to create any sort of pure or hybrid race using elements from each of those 3 races. You'll select between one of 3 cities when creating a character, each with its own locational benefits and faction privileges. Vardo, a human city nearby a lot of wide open plains that are ideal for farming or construction. Estelle, a elf city, wide variety of wild creatures including high concentrations of flying creatures for players interested in taming. And finally Zarul, a dwarf city, access to a wide variety of raw materials, especially rocks, ore and minerals. Houses, also known as guilds, can be created by anyone at any level at no cost. And currently we are not sure if there will be a hard member cap. You'll be able to form alliances with other houses and share certain privileges like the rights to enter each other's structures and shared storages. Players will drop their inventories on death and can be looted by any other player. Bodies will decay after 15 minutes. Players will have a somewhat easy time finding their own bodies after death, because the area where they died will be marked on a respawn map and the body will emit a bright light only visible to that player. Weapons, spells, consumables and construction pieces are all usable through a hotbar. You will be able to use anything directly from your inventory, but you'll want your most used items, weapons and spells on the hotbar for quick access. There are 31 knowledge nodes in the most recent build, split evenly across combat, utility and construction. Skills are not directly unlocked from these nodes. You'll unlock schema for each node level, like weapon and item crafting recipes, spell crafting recipes, etc. Crafted spells come in 2 flavors, consumable or staff crystals. All spells have limited uses. Consumable spells can be used without any sort of catalyst, and mostly cover buffs or other utility spells. Higher tier combat spells are tied to staff crystals which need to be attached to an appropriate staff before they're usable. Staff crystals aren't permanently attached, they can be removed or replaced at any time. And finally, things about the taming system which are confirmed. Somewhere around 75% of the creatures in-game are tameable. Untamable creatures are generally incorporeal or intelligent like goblins or centaurs, but you can cooperate with them in other ways. For example, you can form a contract with a goblin and summon them to operate magic turrets protecting your base when you're away or to complete small tasks. Tamed creatures can be given a number of orders depending on what they're capable of. Creatures level up just like player characters and can have their attributes upgraded in the same way. Tamed creatures can have their souls stored in resurrection stones and can be revived at a revival pool just in case they die, albeit at a high material cost. Okay, so that was an entire list of confirmed features given to me by Horsejoke. As you can see, the game certainly has changed a lot since its original announcement several months ago. And with this confirmed list, we are slowly getting an idea of what to realistically expect from the early access release of Dark and Light. Okay, moving on from the confirmed feature list, I'm going to talk about things that we know so far, but are not confirmed by Snail, and we may or may not see them in early access or even in the game at all. Most of this information here will be from the various Q&A sessions we've had over the last 3 to 4 months, as well as what has been sourced from the official website and from some third-party media sources. A lot of these features might be incorrect or not quite how we imagine them to be, due to improper wording or lack of an explanation on some of these features. And once again, all these things as the game is in development are subject to change. Let's start off with the hot topics, the biggest being server population. Dark and Light will offer server populations much greater in size than the current games in the same genre. Although the exact amount is yet to be confirmed, as Snail wants to achieve a balance between a smooth, well-populated player experience and network load. So basically there is not a confirmed specific number anymore on how many players there will be on a single server, but I would expect it to be slightly less than anticipated. However, Snail has confirmed that player-owned servers will be a thing, so it might even be possible to host our own higher population server. However, a server with more players than intended may break the game's balance. Dark and Light's business model will be buy to play. This means we can buy the game once and play it forever. A cash shop at this point in time has not been discussed at all internally. I doubt very much that we will see one in early access, and currently no plans exist to add one. And Snail are aiming to move away from the business model they have used in previous games. The early access release date has been delayed, and no further date has been given out on when we could possibly see the start of early access. It will be for sure during 2017, but when in 2017 we'll actually be able to play the game is currently unknown. As soon as I find out, guys, I'll make sure to inform you all as soon as I possibly can. Well, those are the biggest hot topics surrounding the game, so let's talk about other things that could end up being in the game. Underwater content will be in the game, however there won't be any ships or naval content, so to speak. Underwater content will be mostly diving into the water, searching for resources, fighting monsters in the depths, and generally similar sort of things that you can do on land. Just in the water instead. Consider it another biome that you can play in, but like most of the biomes in game, you will need specific equipment to survive and explore there. And on the subject of biomes, you will need specific gear and tools to explore them. Only one example of this has been provided to us so far, which is the use of Yeti fur, which will need to be crafted into clothes to survive in the cold environments of the game. And most of the biomes with harsh climates will need specific tools and gear to survive in them for long durations of time. We also know that creatures in game will have special interactions with players. For example, goblins should be able to steal from players, and ogres like to hoard treasure they find. And it's likely that more creatures will eventually have unique aspects about them, but unfortunately we do not know much about them at this point in time. This is most likely something we will have to find out ourselves when we begin to play the game, and perhaps it's better this way. Some things should be left to the imagination. When it comes to crafting and building in Dark and Light, from what we know, we can pretty much expect to see the same things you're used to in other survival sandbox games. Although to be honest, there isn't much information to be given a complete overview of the crafting system. But we do know the basic crafting can be done anywhere in game, while more complex crafting will require more complex tools and work tables in game. Dark and Light will feature a complex weather system and day and night cycles that will have an effect on creatures living in the world as well as players in game. Players will need to prepare accordingly to different changes in the weather as well as when nighttime arrives, because the creatures of the world will become less docile and more aggressive. This nighttime period can last up to 50 minutes, and a full day cycle can take up to well over an hour, or possibly even 2 hours to complete. MMOgames.com released an article on the 19th of December that we could see additional releases after early access. These could be such things as new maps, additional spells, multiple servers with higher player capacity, and cross-server PvP activities. However, none of these things have been confirmed by Snail, and I cannot find a source for this information. So far as I'm concerned, this is most likely just a rumour with no substance. And as a final part of unconfirmed information, Horsejoke can run Dark and Light currently at a constant frame rate on medium settings on an i5 CPU, GTX 980 Ti Nvidia graphics card, and 8GB of RAM. And this is achieved on an unoptimized version of Dark and Light. And while you should not assume these to be recommended specs, it should give you an idea of what kind of rig you might need to play the game on various settings. Dark and Light is no longer the MMORPG of my dreams, simply because its reboot never was an MMORPG to begin with. The announcement that this game would be an MMORPG was a miscommunication between the Chinese and Western developers. Which, if anything, is just a display that even in modern society, language barriers are still an issue. But you know what? That's okay, because Dark and Light as a game certainly is feature-rich. Delving through multiple questions and answers to check what information we have on Dark and Light made me just realise how much this game offers us. And the crazy thing about this is that it isn't even a full list of features. There is still plenty more to come in the future. Overall, Dark and Light has many things to offer a large audience of gamers. It doesn't matter if you only like to explore, roleplay, craft, play with friends, PvE, PvP, the game has something to keep you entertained. And while there are games similar in nature to Dark and Light, there isn't a game out there that is exactly like it. Snail is definitely bringing an interesting game to the market this year. Let's hope it's a good one. Well, this pretty much completes the full information update for Dark and Light. I'd like to thank Horsejoke for his collaboration in helping me collect a lot of this information for this video, and I would also like to thank Talton for keeping his Sticky Reddit post updated. And a big shout out goes to the Discord community and my viewers for generally being awesome despite the delay of Dark and Light. Fingers crossed guys, we will all get to play Dark and Light soon. Remember guys, if you find the information and videos I provide on Dark and Light to be useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and as always guys, thanks for watching.